Hey, this is Billy Messiah from Order/Old Mayhem. You're listening to Thomas Eriksen's podcast. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Thomas Eriksen podcast, episode number 34. It's been a while since the last time now. And if you are visiting or lending me your ears for the first time, welcome. This is a podcast that I started at the beginning of COVID in 2020. I did it mainly because I wasn't able to do my primarily prioritized commitment, which is my black metal band Mork and touring and stuff around that. And obviously, COVID put a jinx in the chain, or whatever it's called in English. I'm Norwegian, obviously, so please forgive my bad English skills, but I try. Mork wasn't able to perform, at least outside of Norway, during COVID, and that was basically why I started the podcast, because I didn't know when it would blow over, you know? Would it ever come back to normal? But now, 2 years later, we're back to normal, basically, which is great. Mork was even active during COVID, so I don't know what all the worry was about for my sake, but we even released a couple of releases, an album, an EP, stuff like that. Well, Mork is a black metal band, like I told you, which I started back in 2004. I've been releasing albums since 2013 and have for the last years been signed to Peaceville Records of Britain. They have now released all of my 5 albums and some EPs. Okay, just to promote my own stuff a little bit, Mork. There's new merchandise in the web shop, which you can find a link to in the description of this podcast episode. We recently received our first hoodies with zipper, big Mork logo on the back and a smaller one on the front. Very cool. We also have long sleeves, t-shirts, vinyls, CDs, and on the web shop, if you order a vinyl or a CD, you can choose to have it signed by me or not. So that's something I do for free over there. And please visit the web shop and pick up some shit, because that's the way you support me. That's the way you support the podcast, and that's also the way you support the band. So thank you very much. And I received a few orders lately, quite big orders. So thank you very much, people. It goes a long way, to put it like that. There's also a PayPal me link, a donation button in the links below, but few people seem to see that, so why bother to mention it? But here we are. There's some news, upcoming stuff. If you're into seeing Mork live, the first upcoming gig is actually in Norway. We're playing at Reinsvoll, which I believe is in Toten, Norway, at a festival called Garage Festival. We're playing there July 2nd, which happens to be my birthday as well. I turn 38 on that day. I'm a child of the summer. I'm a Cancer, I think it is, in Stjernetegn. What's the word in English? I probably know it, but who gives a shit? Playing together with Bombers there. That's the Motorhead cover band of Abbat. That's great. Looking forward to celebrating my birthday in that manner. Next gig after that will be on the 4th of August, and that will be our very first visit to the mighty Wacken Open Air Festival in Germany. Really looking forward to that one. And some days after that, on the 20th of August, we will go back to Poland. That's the second time in Poland. Our very first gig ever was in Poland back in 2015. Going back now, playing Piskowice, the city, and I can't really pronounce the festival, I think. Nicz Shisha Milchi Festival. I'm looking forward to that. And then some other exciting stuff for us is that we're heading overseas in September. A couple of shows have been announced to now, but not all of them. But we are heading out on a Latin and South American tour. That will happen in September, as I told you, from about 4th until the 11th. And I think I can just read the cities here. A few of these has already been announced. We're playing in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We're playing Montevideo, Uruguay, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Asunción in Paraguay, Santiago, Chile, Bogota, Colombia, and we round up in Mexico City in Mexico. That will be a fucking blast. Looking forward to see all of our Latin and South American fans over there. And then we head back to Norway again to play a festival called Northern Deception Festival in Kristiansand. That's on the 23rd of September. That's all the gigs that's announced as of yet. I think there will be a few more coming up. If there's any promoters out there or organizers that wants to work with us, just reach out. I'm sure you can find a way to reach us. And the same goes to the fans out there who wants to see us in their city or area or whatever. Just tell the promoters to book us, and we will do our very best to be able to show up. We love playing live and spread our plague across the globe. So thanks for that. Okay, enough yapping for me. This week's special guest is a special one for me. It's not a particular black metal related one though, not directly. Harald Fossberg is a great guy. He's a wise guy. He is a legend in Norway, I would say. He is a cultural person. Doing radio stuff, newspaper stuff. He's a writer. He released actually a book about black metal called Nyanser Av Svart was the book. I remember now. I actually have it in my book collection upstairs. He also took part in the recent Helvete documentary, actually. The series that was aired on NRK, the Norwegian television station. And it's also available on the internet, I suppose. Helvete, the series, documentary series about black metal and mayhem and stuff. He is in there, actually, talking about it. And another fascinating thing is that he's an original member of Turbonegro. It turned out he's not the first vocalist, actually, but he's the second one. He sings on the first two albums there, which I find quite interesting, as they are quite dark sounding and in lyrical themes and stuff. So you should check that out if you haven't. He talks about that, and he's also, being 62 years old, he's obviously been around the block a few times. So he remembers the 70s, you know, he was a part of the early punk movement. He explored that. He actually went to England when punk was happening. He's seen a lot of different music genres up through the ages, which is fascinating. And it was a real pleasure for me having him sitting here in my couch here, telling me about his musical journey and what he's seen. And I think it will be for you too. Just tune in and enjoy this fascinating story of my good friend Harald Fossberg.
Nei, jeg trenger ikke.
Du tar det live?
Jeg tar det live. Jeg er helt, skal jeg ta den nærmere, kanskje? Ja, du vil ha den litt litt nærmere trynet.
Ja, det kan du egentlig styre litt, det jo...
Ja, det du som styrer det egentlig, for at du som skal sitte her og mikse
så nærme munnen som
faenskapet.
mulig, uten at du spiser den.
Da gjør vi det sånn.
Ja, så
Den grei.
og så kan vi ta så mye pauser og sånn som mulig, som du vil.
Ja.
Hvis du er på do eller tenker, eller for jeg kan bare kløppe, for det ikke live.
Jeg har gjort radio omtrent siden du ble født. 87.
Da vet du hvordan det her funker. Og greia at hvis jeg gjør det her riktig, eller vi gjør det riktig, så snakker du mer enn meg. For det her handler om deg.
Ja, men jeg synes det handler om oss, ja.
Det handler om oss, det gjør det, absolutt.
Da gjør vi det så enkelt.
Det ikke noe research fra min side, vi bare går igjennom fra start til nå.
Helt suverent.
Så da jeg bare prøver å lytte litt. Så den lyden der, den liker jeg.
Ja, det den fineste. Vi har alltid den på når vi skal ha øl på lufta, så det sånn der, en fyr åpnet uten å ha mikken på. Han åpnet ølen uten live mic. Det var dårlig stemning, det. Det var sånn der, den ølen der, den må du helle ut. Og det var sånn, han ble så skuffet. Så, jeg mente ikke, jeg trodde mikken var på.
Skål, Harald.
Skål da. Hepp.
Veldig hyggelig.
Like så.
Og på høy tid. We will do this in English.
Yes, welcome to Atomhenge.
Atomhenge. I call it actually, let's see here. I call it Atomen Studio.
Oh.
Yes, and I've been watching some Megadeth videos on YouTube.
Perfect.
Let's see. All right. Yes, it's been a while, but I have to scrape off the rust now.
Perfect. Let's do this.
I think my last podcast was with Billy Messiah. I think that might have been last year, actually. I'm not sure. Or
that's
early
a couple
this
of
one.
hours.
Yes,
It's been a couple of hours since the last time.
So not much English speaking. The clock is ticking. That's good. Okay, my friend, Mr. Harald Fossberg. Can I call you Harald?
You can call me anything, just don't call me late for dinner.
Okay, I won't. Thank you for finally doing this.
Well, it's difficult to come down to this Atomhenge.
Yeah.
So I had to do some byways and dryways, but finally I'm here.
Yeah.
And let's get to the nitty-gritty, my friend.
I need to ask you first of all, since I'm a Haldenser and we're in Halden.
Yes.
I suppose you've been here before, right?
To Halden, of course.
Yeah, many times?
No, couple of times. The best part of Halden is a place called Siste Reis. It's a very nice pub close to the railway station. And if you miss the train, that will be your last stop for the night.
That's true. We were supposed to go there tonight, but we need to postpone that one.
Well, we're doing a rain check, and we're going to do it, guide.
You promise?
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. But why have you been in Halden before? Just private reasons or cultural reasons? Work?
A friend of mine, he was studying to be a teacher in Halden, and lived just across the street at the student home, just across the street for Siste Reis.
Oh, yeah.
And to make things more interesting, he's blind, so I decided to join him the first weekends, just to check out what was happening here in Halden.
Okay.
And, what was happening in Halden was Siste Reis.
Yes. It's the same today, basically.
Yes, but I mean, what I'm thinking about is Halden is so close to Sweden.
Yep.
And do people of Halden feel that they are more European than Norwegian? I mean, considering that you can just pop over the border to...
No, but me personally and my family for past years, we feel that Svinesund, Nordby, Strømstad, it's not really Sweden, it's the neighborhood.
Yep, it's part of Norway.
Yeah, because we go there each and every week. Me and my wife, we go there to get cheaper meat. We go to the Systembolaget to get the good stuff, the liquor and stuff. And I don't know, it's so close. When I was growing up, I grew up at a place called Isebakke, which is actually closer to
border.
To border than here. You passed it when you came from Oslo.
Alrighty.
And we used to walk to Svinesund to buy candy, video games.
Perfect.
That was a nice forest trip and over the old bridge, and then we were,
Yep.
So
excellent. Yeah,
good memories.
I mean, Sweden is supposed to be the den of sin, so that's where you got your sinning instincts from.
Let's say I know where Kattan is located or was located. You heard about that one?
Nope.
Kattan, that was a red house in the middle of the forest between Strömstad and Svinesund.
Oh, and you could buy some contraband.
You could go to a strip show there.
Ooh la la.
Amongst other things. So, and Svinesund, just to keep on gabbing about Svinesund, it's, from my childhood, it's basically only hairy VHS porn and sex toys. And candy.
Sex toys and candy.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, careful with that lollipop, people.
Yep. Choose the right one. When did we meet for the first time, Harald? Was that at that book event you had in Fredrikstad?
Yes, that was Fredrikstad. Fredrikstad Library.
Yes.
Must have been 2016, I suppose.
Yeah.
You drove up to Fredrikstad with some friends of yours.
True.
And, well, I was doing this little talky thingy, trying to interest people in my book. And then we went to a nice little place called Verdens
Speile.
Speile.
Your memory is good.
That was the world's mirror.
Yep, true.
Nice little freaky place.
Yeah.
I think it's gone now.
I actually was there just a few days ago
Alright,
because
cool.
the kid of my wife was at a doctor's in Fredrikstad.
Yeah.
While I was waiting, I went there actually. I think it's called something else now, but it's still the interior is the same.
All right, because it looks like a jumble sale. It looks like thing you just pick up after everybody's left at the jumble sale.
I love it. It's old furniture, and there's a short little beer park there. It's a coffee shop basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not the Dutch coffee shop. We don't do Dutch coffee shops in Norway.
Not the Holland one. But it's a nice place, and I remember that was a really nice time meeting you because you were obviously who you are. You are really humble and great guy.
Oh, I'm not humble. I'm very big-headed, but I try to camouflage it very
You
good.
fooled me. We're still here, and each time I meet you, I give you a big hug. So you have to do something right.
It must be my perfume.
I think so. Oh man, let's go back then.
Yep. Sorry.
How you are 62 years old now. Mm-hmm. So you experienced the 60s, the 70s, the early 80s.
Yep.
Which I didn't. Let's go back. How was your childhood, and how did you get into?
I was on the road. I was on the road a lot.
Okay.
My father was a student in Germany. My mother was working there. She's Swedish. My father was Norwegian. And suddenly I arrived before his diploma, so he came home with a wife, kid, and a diploma.
Hey!
And then we sort of like just traveled around for a lot of years. I moved to Oslo when I was 14 years old. Yeah, that's sort of like when I got grounded in music. Before that, I was sort of... well, you know what it is. You play football, and if you don't play football, you got no friends. So I used to play a lot of football, but I also listened to a lot of music. So that was the two things that kept me going.
Yeah. What kind of music?
Ooh, everything. When I was 6, my aunt gave me Mother's Little Helper, Rolling Stones single.
Yeah.
She probably thought it would be a nice thing for a little boy that was 6 years old. Mother's Little Helper. She never heard the lyrics. Of that, I'm quite sure. Because if you check that out, you know it's absolutely not the nice little 6-year-old helping his mother do the dishes. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, I almost saw the Stones back in 68, 69.
Wow.
Because... Brian Jones, after he died, they had a memorial concert for him in Hyde Park in London.
Yep.
That the very same week we were in London, my parents and me. I remember we went to Carnaby Street because that was where all the long hairs were, and we went to Hyde Park, and there was like tons of long-haired people and people trying to scrounge money from my parents. So, you got a pence, ma'am, got a pence. I didn't get to listen to them, but afterwards we understood that, okay, we were actually sort of at the moment. So I've never been, it's like, I didn't go to Woodstock, but I almost went to Brian Jones' memorial concert.
Oh man, But do you remember like hearing echoes of the sound
No,
system?
nothing.
No.
I guess we were too far away and perhaps they hadn't even played. Maybe they had played.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I know Hyde Park was full of long hairs and...
Hippies.
Hippies, my God. So I grew my hair long and I was called a girl when I was 10, 11 years old. Because people couldn't believe that people could actually grow hair. I mean, boys didn't have that long hair.
Oh.
That was impossible. But then again, it was.
Yeah.
That was when I had hair. now I got this very nice little. I say it's very easy to do my hair care because there is none. I save a lot of money on.
You just polish.
Yeah. Only polish, no shampoos, no balsam, no nothing.
But you need to take care of the beard, though.
Nah, I just scratch it off when it's too long. Right, I can use your cat. We'll probably bite it off.
Absolutely. But why did your parents take you to London and to that part of the hippie part of the city? Were they like interested in the culture like that?
No, I think they were just drawn to. They thought like London, that's a good place to be. England, interesting place. I think my father enjoyed the pubs. I think my mother enjoyed. She liked music and literature and stuff like that. So I suppose that she knew of the Rolling Stones, of course, and I had elder cousins that was into music. First, when I was 10, I got a tape from my cousin with the Supremes and stuff like that. And the first tape I made myself was with Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Deep Purple, Machine Head, and Led Zeppelin 2. That was the three albums I got to tape from my friend's older brother.
Not a bad combo.
No, it was a good way to start it. So, and when Jimi Hendrix died, I saved up all my your weekly allowance. I saved up my allowance. And I bought a German cheap copy of sort of like greatest hits of Jimi Hendrix. That totally blew my mind. That when I understood that I won't be a good footballer because I was always placed on the wings, left wing, left back, somewhere over there, not in the middle of it. Try to get out of trouble. So yeah, I sort of like drifted into music, and then came David Bowie. Slade, Sweet, all that stuff. And through Bowie, my friend's older brother, he was really into Bowie. So he found out that Bowie had just produced an artist called Iggy Pop. That sounded like a good idea, like, it's got to be another Bowie. So he bought this album, and he absolutely hated it. Because it was just very loud woolen sound, and it was not very arty and not very progressive. It was more regressive, in your face stuff.
Iggy solo?
Yes, Iggy and the Stooges.
Yeah, and the Stooges.
Raw Powers, yes.
The first album?
No, the third album. The first two albums were... The first album was produced by John Cale, the Stooges. Then you had Funhouse, which was sort of like a freak-out jam, which I found out later. But the third one was when Bowie decided that he wanted to expand his portfolio and become... he grew up in the shadow of Mark Bolan, who was the first glam rock artist. So Bowie decided to come out into his own. And when he did that, he also wanted to hook up to other people. Ziggy Stardust is sort of like a crossover between the legendary Stardust Cowboy, an insane artist. Dear listener, check out the legendary Stardust Cowboy. You will love it. And Iggy. So they had Ziggy Stardust, legendary Stardust Cowboy, and Iggy. Ziggy Stardust. Boom. Easy as that. And then Bowie decided to befriend Lou Reed of the Velvet Underground. Yeah. Who had gone solo and didn't do too good. So he got there and managed to produce Transformer. Which, Raw Power and Transformer are two very important albums, because they showed that music could be not just entertainment, but also a bit dangerous.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm not big into the Stooges or Iggy's history, but the first album, and especially I Wanna Be Your Dog,
whoa.
That has to be one of the first black metal songs, if you ask me.
Yep.
That sound and that dark riff, Fucking perfect.
Yes, and then you know that John Cale produced it, and then you know that John Cale and Velvet Underground did an album called White Light, White Heat, which is, if you go for the lo-fi black metal stuff, you will definitely find something to prickle your ears at that album, because it's a song called I Heard Her Call My Name, which is the most insane guitar solo ever. There seems to be research done on laboratory rats, where they try to check out how to stress them out with different songs. I mean, they played nice music, like Chopin, and the rats were all chilling out, having a good time, ooh. And then they put on Velvet Underground, and the guitar solo from I Heard Her Call My Name, that is, according to those scientists, a real killer. It makes the rats go totally mental and trying to kill themselves.
Really?
Yep.
Please, on the private, send me a message with some recommendations that I can check out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And if you're doing some, when you're publishing this podcast, maybe you have some, maybe you can put some links to it.
You decide all the links, sir.
Perfect.
Yes, you just give me a list.
I'm going to send you some really shitty links here.
But remember, you need to promote yourself as well. That's the whole point.
I think myself is unimportant in the history of music, or in the realms of music, because I'm only sort of like one of those people where music flows through.
Yeah.
I'm sort of like a filter. I'm not the huge creator. I'm not like Fenris or Ted. I'm sort of like one of those dudes who really love music and want people to listen to other people's music, because my music is, well, it's not for everybody.
No, but you had a journey, sir, and that is something I need to touch upon within this conversation.
Alrighty.
But did it any big happenings before you got into music, playing music for yourself or joining a band? Anything we need to touch upon there?
Yeah, I was sort of like omnivorous when it came to music. I could listen to almost anything. I mean, my grandmother, she liked the jazz and Povel Ramel and stuff like that. My parents were like, yeah, they listened to a little bit of this and that. Could be anything from Gilbert O'Sullivan to Elvis.
Yeah.
So, no, it was my elder cousins that really put me on, and my brother, and my friend's elder brother. And of course, I was checking out stuff. Fairport Convention, I saw a program on Swedish TV that made me understand folk rock. And then that was 11, 12 years old. So I sort of, I just grabbed a hold of everything I could find. When I was 13, there was music magazines you could buy at the kiosk. It was a Danish magazine called Go, which was sort of looking into glam rock, but also looking into stuff like Alice Cooper, Blue Oyster Cult, New York Dolls, things like that, MC5. So I started to pester, first of all, my friend's elder brother, and if he didn't have it, I did go to the record store and said, well, we can maybe order it for you if you absolutely must. So I sort of like grew to get quite different taste in music to the others, because they were sort of listening to something, in Norway it's something called Treff and T i skuddet.
Yeah.
That was sort of like cover versions of hits from abroad, from the world outside Norway.
Okay.
Sometimes it was translated badly into Norwegian and sung by like the usual suspects, like 4 or 5 people, Stein, Eriksen, Gro, Anita, Schønn. They were like, there was just some sort of factory going on. Okay, we'll take the top 10 hits, make a crappy translation, put it on an album with these 4 or 5 singers, and then, hey, presto, we got a hit. Because in Norway, I think it was some sort of isolationism, because we wanted we wanted the hits, we didn't do any too much for ourselves, so we decided to steal the hits from abroad and make Norwegian lyrics to it.
Why the fuck did they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I went to the source. I went straight to the source. And by the way, good story. When I was 14, I was, as I told you, I was really into tons of different music, and I was quite a big reader because, the local library had only crappy books, so I decided to check out English books. So my parents decided in their wisdom to send me to England for something called end of term. That means that you get between 8 and 10 weeks at an English school. Okay. Where you have to speak English all the time. Little did they know that at that very school, it's called Taunton. It's in Somerset, England, southwest corner, just before Cornwall. You know, that little... there was this orchestra playing there. Rock and roll orchestra. They were about to release their first album called Rock-a-Rolla. And the name of the band was Judas Priest. So I got to see them when I was 14. They blew my mind and they blew my ears totally off. I couldn't hear anything for 4 days afterwards.
You went to see them at 14?
Yep. I even got the poster for it. I'm going to send you a picture.
Wow.
So that poster I stole from the door of the local chapel. Judas Priest appearing at Taunton School. Very nice.
When was that?
1974, June or July.
Okay.
So Rob Halford had this flower. He looked more like some sort of Robert Plant guy with a little ratty hair. But, they had KK Downing, they had Glenn Tipton, they had Ian Hill, and they had the drummer, whatever. Why do we always forget the name of the drummers?
Spinal Tap. They blow up, they die.
Probably. So that was a good memory. So that sort of primed me up for some music. That's when I started to unlisten to Yes and stuff like that.
Okay.
And got bored with that. So no Yes, but Black Sabbath. Of course, I listened a lot to Black Sabbath. That was due to the people I played with. I was 13 when I joined my first band.
Okay.
I was chosen to be the third guitar player in the band. They taught me 3 chords: the E chord, the A chord, and the G chord.
Oh yeah.
So I was standing back there and playing, sometimes to Black Magic Woman and all that stuff. And the guy, the leader of the band, was called Zappa because he was old enough to have a beard, or sort of like a beard. So he had this Zappa-ish thingy and he rode around on a scooter. But he was also into other sorts of businesses because this band was so nice to me. They let me borrow lots of equipment.
Okay.
So I had a bass amp and a bass guitar for about 3 weeks, but I tried out to my friends and neighbors.
Big amusement.
Yes, absolutely. and they were like, no, perhaps bass isn't anything for you, but try this guitar and this amplifier. And I was going, oh, very nice. But I should have known something was up because that guitar was a left-hand guitar and I'm a right-hand player, right?
Something was off.
And also that was yellow sort of like Gibson Les Paul thingy. And it had a poster that Jesus Saves, a sticker with Jesus Saves on it.
Oh.
So it's dawned on me many years later that it was probably the local Christian band, the Tensing Choir, that lost some equipment at that period.
Lost.
And it sort of cooled off at our place.
Was these guys the same age as you or older?
No, he was older. I was 13, he was about 16, 17. And he hung around with friends that were like 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
So that was the local crime gang, the crime syndicate.
In Oslo, was it?
No, that was Gjøvik.
Gjøvik?
That was 73.
Yeah.
So I moved to Oslo the year after. So I got out of the criminal syndicate and started my own.
Oh, you sure did. But would you say that the Priest one was the first show you went to, or did you go to concerts before that?
I had seen Øystein Sunde, Norwegian local funny man, etc.
He's a legend.
With Lillebjørn Nilsen at Gjøvik Kino when I was 12, 1972. So I had seen live appearances before, but that was the first true gig that I ever got to see, because I think that the music teacher at that school, he was very into different sorts of music. That's when I first heard Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
So
Via the teacher.
yeah,
Wow.
yep. He was really progressive guy.
Impressive.
And I was 14. I was allowed to go to the pubs because I was so tall. The others couldn't believe that I couldn't. You must be 18. You're so tall. And I said, yes, I'm 18. I'm tall. So that was perfect.
But was it any creativity that came out of that first band you had with the Jesus Saves guitar and everything?
Nah, that was just,
No original songs.
no, that was just hanging around, doodling with the instruments, trying to learn something, which I didn't learn too much. But then when I moved to Oslo, 74. I think the year after, 75. The good thing about Oslo is that you could buy actually second-hand records. I mean, they had a nice place called Bjørn Ringstrøm. And me being a poor kid, 14, 15 years of age, I used all my allowances there.
Yeah.
And then you had to go to the cheap albums, the cheap records. That cost 10 kroner instead of 35, which was, you could get 3 albums. 10 kroners instead of 1. So of course I was really a bottom feeder. I was trolling it. So I found the first Blåeste Cult album there. I found a band called Magma, which had this really impressive cover. It looked like some sort of angry teeth or something, and it's called Mechanic Destructive Commando. Oh. And they sung in their own language. So that was kind of out there, and I listened to Edgar Broughton Band, which they came to Oslo at a festival called Ragnarok.
Heard about that one.
Yep. It was at the Ullevål National Stadium. Mm-hmm. So Edgar Broughton Band started it. So I was there early. I got to see them.
Wow.
They had a horrible sound, and there was some really crappy Danish bands playing, and a Norwegian band called Rufus. So it was sort of like downhill all the way. And then they were supposed to have Focus, the Dutch band, who were doing yodeling and flutes and stuff like that. And they sort of got delayed and got delayed and got delayed. So I was sitting there bored out of my head. And when they finally came on, I decided this was the worst shit I ever heard in my life. So I went straight back home and listened to Blåeste Cult and Magma, very loud, and of course Judas Priest, because already I bought that album, and some Kiss. I had the 2 first Kiss albums, so that was my musical rebellion with Iggy Pop, of course, and Slade Alive, still one of the best live albums ever in my ears. But that prepared me for the next revolution in my head, because when I was 16, I went to sort of call it high school. I think it's
high school, junior high school.
Yeah, junior high. So I started there, and I got and in my class there was this guy who he had a rain jacket. And he'd written all these band names on the rain jacket. And I found out, 2/3 of those band names are quite good. I think I'll have it. I think I'll talk to him. This is the guy I want to talk to. So we sort of blah, blah, blah. And we found out we both enjoy the more primitive aspects of music.
Yeah.
And we also enjoyed listening to Swedish radio programs, because the Swedish radio shows, they were good. They played actually new music.
Yep.
Norwegian radio shows never played new music.
Everyone says so.
Yep. So I learned to listen to a band called the Sensational Alex Harvey Band, proto-punk, the best there is, Motte Hoople, all that stuff. So we were, we sort of went on like this, and then suddenly we started reading about this strange phenomena in England called punk. So we sort of drifted into that, started listening to The Damned, The Clash, Sex Pistols. This weekend is when we're taping this. is the Silver Jubilee, no, the Platinum Jubilee of the British Queen of England.
God save the Queen.
Yes, and Sex Pistols did so with a single. And that single we bought in Oslo at the most strange hippie shop ever. It's called Compendium. They usually had like more like freaky avant-garde jazz stuff, and they put out their own records and their own label, Compendium Records, with strange artists like Henry Cow and Saluki and stuff like that. But they had actually managed to import God Save the Queen.
That week?
The single. Well, we went to school not far from it, so during our break we went down to Compendium just to check out what they could have. And in the window he put out this single with the famous picture of the Queen with, ransom ticket lettering, and we're going, shit, they got it. And we thought that was the only copy, so we fought our way in. Yeah. We want that one in the window. And he said, well, I got plenty more here in the back, man. So, yep, so we got each our copy.
Wow.
And that's when we started our first band.
Okay.
So it was called The Leftovers.
Okay.
Yeah, because, we were the ones that never got picked, right? So we were the leftovers.
Yes. Clever.
Very clever. And I understand why we didn't really survive as a band, because we were totally inept. Even though I'd been playing third guitar in the previous band, I was not ready for being a guitarist on my own. So I think I swapped my copy of Led Zeppelin 4 for a Czech bass guitar made in Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
And that was, the strings on that bass was so hard to play. I got blisters just looking at it.
Yeah.
And I think I used a coin as a plectrum, because there was no way I could use my fingers. So it got a harsh metallic sound. I loved it. I really loved it. But that bass is lost in time now. Yeah. Unfortunately. But now it comes to the second big gig that really made an impression on me. That was summer of 77.
Oh, you went there actually?
No, I didn't go to that gig.
Okay.
The Sex Pistols were not allowed to play in England, so they decided to tour Scandinavia.
Yep.
The gig in Oslo at the Penguin Club is so famous that allegedly there must have been at least 1,000 people present.
I've heard that it was 3,000 people present.
Yes.
At a club that's room 100 or something.
Yep, I know some people went there, but I was actually in Denmark at that time.
Okay.
We were doing this sort of a tenting trip, but one of my friends were old enough to have his driver's license.
Yeah.
So we borrowed Dad's car, and we went down to Denmark. And I was looking up the paper, and I was saying, "Holy shit! Sex Pistols are playing Copenhagen tomorrow night.
2 shows.
Yep. So we must go immediately."
That is dancehall.
Yep. And I actually made the guys go there. So that's typical. Like 4 of us in the car. We just tear down the tent, stashes it in the back of the car, in the trunk, drives like mad, comes down, get a nice camping spot, rushes into town. Where is the because it's over there. It must be over there. I can hear some noises. And we come around the corner. That was not a gig. That was a motorcycle gang fighting somebody else.
Oh, man.
So that was not a punk gig, so we decided to go the other way. And then we found that is dancehall very nicely. So we went there, all 4 of us. And this probably tells you a lot about, this was Årvoll. I grew up in Årvoll, close in Oslo. 2 of the guys were in the back, standing at the bar. They were like, we like Supertramp and we like Nazareth. We cannot really abide this horrible noise.
Yeah.
And my friend, he was sort of like in the middle. And I was way up in front. So I had like Steve Jones's guitar, dangling in front of my eyes. And Johnny Rotten on just to the left of me. So
you were front row on Sex Pistols in 77.
Yes. And that's when I decided that this is going to be my life.
I just need to touch you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm still alive.
Yes.
I got a pulse.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Good. I was worried there for a second.
Oh,
I
man.
thought I'd died and go to heaven, man.
Oh, you know what? Pistols was such a big deal for me.
Yep.
They made me pick up the guitar in the first place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, they knew exactly what they were supposed to do. I mean, it's like go up there, just go blam and tell people how you feel.
Tell me about the gig, please.
Well, I mean, we came so early that I actually mistook one of the roadies. His name is obviously Rodent.
Rodent.
Yeah, because
okay.
he looked like Johnny Rotten,
Yeah.
more or less. So I thought like, ooh, you see, going around between people, checking out the equipment. That's strange, but man, that's punk, man. We're the people. We're all the people. And I could see Malcolm McLaren, tall guy, curly hair, walking around in how do you say, tartan clothes.
Yeah.
And there was no support act. At least I don't remember support act. And they came in. I think they started with Anarchy
they did.
in the UK. And they played a song called EMI, which was, of course, dedicated to the first company of Sactum.
Yep. Yep.
Well, it was. I mean, first of all, it was loud, but not horribly loud. It was as loud as you can. You could feel it. You can get into it without your head being blown off.
Yeah, but you were standing close to the stage. I suppose you got the amps directly and not the PA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably. So no, I thought they were like Sid Vicious was like on the side, and he wasn't. For me, he wasn't that important. For me, it was Johnny Rotten. That was the guy, and of course Stevie Jones. And I mean, Paul Cook. You obviously could sense that he was a good drummer because it was like a steam train.
Yeah. Tight band.
They were relentless.
Great band.
Yep, and I suppose that they actually had a chance to play their music and not just be a spectacle where people were supposed to fight and throw things at one another. I think they actually enjoyed that because that was their. At last, they were free to do what they were supposed to do.
I think
namely play music.
Yeah, I think that Scandinavian run they did there in the summer of '77 was an important thing for them because I think basically all the shows was sold out.
Yep.
There's plenty of bootlegs. I heard all of them.
Yep.
I'm sure I heard one of the two Danish shows as well. I even, a good friend of mine is Tom Schekkersæter, you probably know.
Yeah.
He was at Pinvin. I had a birthday. I think it was when I turned 30, actually, about 8 years ago now. He handed me a couple of books. One book dedicated to the Oslo show, and one book dedicated to the Trondheim show.
Yeah. Both written by Trygve Mathisen,
yes,
an old friend of mine.
Yep.
He's back now with his band Ymstammen. He's going to play Midgardsblot.
Okay.
That will be that can be quite interesting because they were sort of like pagan stuff. One of Trygve's bands, Trygve and my best friend from junior high, Carlos Plato, they had a band called Leak, sort of like Corpse.
Yeah.
They recorded one single, a 3-track single in Fredrikstad.
Okay. Back then?
Yep.
Yeah.
By 81, I think. And for some strange reason, they asked me to be the producer. So I actually have a producer's credit to my name for some strange reason.
There you go.
The only thing I did was drive the poor engineer up the wall because I said, like, Trygve Carl found this horrible synth noise going, and I said, that's excellent, let's use that.
Oh.
And he was saying, you can't use that, it's just a horrible noise. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think that single sold about 12 copies when it came out, but it's now probably some sort of killed by death, very interesting collector's item somewhere. In a parallel universe that's bigger than krautrock.
Today it's true cult. I'm sure. I'm blown away that you went to that show. Insane. Good on you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
How was that band, by the way? You were there with your bandmates. Was that it?
No,
Only friends of yours.
No, that was friends of mine from Orvoll.
Yeah.
I mean, I was then the leftovers was me and Carlos and a bass player that hardly ever played bass. But they got together and started a band called Men of Courage.
Okay.
Later, which is still active, even though my friend Carl is dead. Died 1 year ago. Rest in peace. Bless his soul.
Sorry about that.
Yep, it's that's the way it is, all that COVID shit and all that nice.
Yep.
So some people don't get through.
No, that's true.
So, but but anyhow, it's he stuck to it. He really stuck to it, and his band Men of Courage. I think they will still be going even though he's gone.
Okay.
And I think that's good because that was his whole life.
Yeah.
Or music was our whole life. I mean, that's how we got together. That's what made us tick. And every time, I mean, we could sit and hang out and talk. We could speak of the difficult things of life, but we would always wind up, about, have you heard this song by this and that band? We always wound up there. I suppose it's some sort of boy thingy that you communicate through the songs.
It's still like that today.
Yep.
When I hang out with my buddies, we end up talking music. It's better than the real world.
Yep, absolutely. Music beats the real world 10 times out of 10.
Any day. So, but any original works out of that band, the leftovers, or was that just fumbling around?
I think we were probably the first punk gig, at least in Oslo. I can't say in Norway as a whole, but at least in Oslo. We sort of blagged our way into some sort of free festival. We had rehearsed 2 or 3 times before, and decided to give it a go. I mean, we wanted to show those long hairs what was happening, not all that silly jazz proggy shit. So we decided that we wanted to give them our best, our all. And pissed them off big time.
You were a punk band, right?
Yep. Definitely.
Yep.
Probably the first punk band in Norway.
Because I read something just earlier today, just swiped across some Wikipedia page or something about you celebrity, and it said something about you was in the first punk band of Norway. Yep. And that's that one?
No, the first band they usually talk about is Härverk.
Yes, that was the name.
Yes, which is sort of like, that's probably, I mean, that was the first real band I played with.
Okay, that was afterwards then.
Yep, Leftovers I sort of drifted into Härverk after Leftovers.
Okay.
And I think Leftovers, we had 2 gigs, and both gigs they cut off the electricity. So that's I think that more or less summarizes our fantastic career in music.
And that was the Leftovers?
Yep.
Okay.
Härverk, yes. We had our debut on the 17th of November in 1978. Reason I know this date is that our guitar player had his birthday on that day. So it's dead easy to remember. Oh yeah, Arne, his 17th of November. Yep.
Yeah, yes.
That was his 20th birthday, so that was easy.
So when did it become Härverk?
Well, we sort of just drifted together to, I mean, they were some people were playing already, and they sort of like drafted me in as a bass player. But the singer of that band was more or less at that time more busy trying to make joints and trying to chat up the girl drummer in the band. Yeah. So he sort of like drifted out of the singing and drifted into a corner where he was sitting, throwing longingly looks at the drummer. So I decided to sing as well as play bass, and then they sort of decided to disband the band and start again without him. Yes. Very grown-up thing.
They still do that, even grown people. So
so that was the way it started. And so, but I mean, that was part of the punk thing. The punk thing was, we heard about hip hop, with the 4 elements, graffiti, breakdance, the music, etc. That was sort of the same with punk. Start a band, make a fanzine, create something, and be out there and be there in people's faces, and don't let anybody tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Because you're in charge of your own life.
Yes.
So that's how we started. We sort of hung around in the middle of Oslo Center on Saturdays before the cinema club was before they had the shows. So we just hung around in the center, and first we were like 5 or 6 people. Then we're 10, 15, 20, and suddenly we were like 40. And
it was a scene.
Yeah, then it was a scene. And then somebody decided that, these kids are just hanging around there. Maybe we can make them spend their money at our place. So they sort of tried some club things, which always became a very short-lived thing because, of course, they wanted our money, but they didn't want us. So after we played 3 or 4 places, they were like, "Oh no, holy shit! These people are ugly, and they're drunk when they arrive because we couldn't afford buying overpriced pints anyway." So we sat around the corner with our bags of beer. Sounds oddly familiar.
Yes.
So yeah, that was how the punk scene got going.
I need to ask then, since we're in Halden again.
Yep.
I suppose we also have a band that is proclaimed to be the first punk band of Norway, and we're obviously talking about Front Page.
Oh yeah, Tom Skikkelseter will probably say that not only were the first band, they were also the best band, and they were the only band, and the rest of the bands in Norway were just a bunch of horrible posers.
Yeah, but who was first? Front Page or Helvete? Because I think we all remember that punk didn't arrive out of nowhere. I mean, there was some groundwork somewhere. So I suppose that we all came from different backgrounds, but we all were sort of caught up in the same immense boredom with the status quo of music. When the artists were so big that had to have 4 trailers with equipment to travel around like dinosaurs. Yes.
And they played songs that were about 20 minutes in average.
Yep.
So what punk did was like we played 10 songs in 20 minutes, which was, first of all, much more easy, much more aggressive, and much more fun. And we had actually lyrics about what was happening, not interesting songs about butterflies and sunrises and things on strange far-off planets that only existed in the singer's head.
No. You held a mirror up to society, I suppose.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
We are bored. Our teacher is a fool.
Yep.
Etc., etc. Our parents doesn't understand nothing. We don't have any money. We're bored. Did we say we were bored? So yeah, and me being half Swedish, I had intense pleasure of going to Sweden, to especially Stockholm and Gothenburg, and checking out lots of the bands. I mean, the scene in Norway, if we were like 10 bands in Norway in 78, there were like 100 bands in Sweden.
Oh yeah, yep.
So
I would guess so.
So obviously, at least my eyes were like, they were towards, my ears were tuned towards Sweden and England, and also the US, because that's when interesting bands like Germs, Pagans, Black Flag, later Black Flag, they started to come around.
In the 80s, right?
No, I'm talking about 78, 79, 80. The Dills, I Hate the Rich, fantastic song, Class War. It's, those are killer songs. And minimalistic and totally, they're so full of aggression. One of my favorite bands from the States at that time was a band called Fear.
Yep. Isn't that Lee Wing? No.
Yep, Lee Wing, who also sort of became an actor. Or I think he more or less played himself, being an obnoxious guy with short hair and a chain around his neck.
Yeah, there you go.
So, no, but it was it was good times, and I was lucky I could support my habit because when I was 19, I started to pester people at the local record shop, and they sort of decided that, all right, you can just, since you're just hanging around there doing nothing, now you can start helping out, putting out records, putting on price tags, and maybe stand at the cashiers. But we're going to watch you. You're not going to steal any money. I don't want to steal any money. I want to steal records, man.
You got your first job then?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, my very first job was when I was trying to save my money for a guitar when I was 13. No, for my first record player. And then I was, an errands boy for a local electricity shop, you know, running off with parcels to different places. And I got 7 kroner and 15 øre for an hour's work. That was a lot of money for me, especially since my friend only made 6 kroner and 5 øre. So I was rolling in it, man.
It was more back then.
Definitely.
Yes. Everyone says so. Okay, so you started working at a record store.
Yep.
Yeah, that has to be a dream.
That was
dream world for you, I suppose.
Yes. And the thing was, I mean, what I'd been doing up to that was I used to work not as a part-time, but you come in short-term work. And you go to the works office and you say, I could work for 3 weeks, and you get to work for 3 weeks at some warehouse or whatever. You get your money and you rush down to the nearest travel agency and ask, what do you have unspecified for London? Because then you get the cheapest ever, which is probably a hotel with lots of fleece in it. But you get a plane and you get a hotel, and you can use all your money going to concerts and buying records. And that was fantastic.
So you went to London then?
Oh, yeah. Lots of times. I went to Sex, the shop, the pistol shop.
Yeah, Vivian Westwood and Malcolm McLaren.
Yep, absolutely.
I've been there actually, but it was called The World's End.
Yep, they had to change it all the time.
Yeah.
And I was at another place called Last Resort. That was more when they started to go into oi music.
But wait. Back up now.
Yeah.
I need to ask, as you know, I'm a huge into the Sex Pistols era of things. You went to the sex shop. When was that? In 78, 79-ish?
November 77.
Okay, so in the middle of it all.
Yep.
Did you buy anything? Any shirts?
I had a T-shirt, but that was that got burned.
Okay.
Because, put it this way, when you're a punk, you sort of you attract trouble, and so I got busted a few times, and I got in a few fights, etc. So the T-shirt was ripped off me. I still have one shirt left, and that's the Destroy T-shirt.
You have that one?
Infamous, yeah.
I always dreamt about having one of those. So you have an original one?
Yes, I got it. It's really worn, and I got a pair of bondage trousers somewhere from Boy, which was the other shop in Kings Road. And perhaps some other stuff.
You have the Destroy shirt?
Yeah. Yep. It's but a friend of mine in Sweden, he had actually Sid Vicious T-shirt. The one with the cowboys with the
the naked
out.
cowboy. Yes. Yeah.
He had that. He got it from Sid Vicious when they played Stockholm.
Oh, really?
So,
in person?
Yeah. He lived in Rågsved. That's where I met Thåström from Ebba Grön.
Yeah.
He lived in the same block of flats. Rågsved was sort of like in Sweden it's so-called förorten. It's not really the suburbs. It's more like a block of flats, outside of the center. And Rågsved was quite rough area. I mean, the only thing you could do there was either you were a junkie shooting up or sniffing glue.
Oh, yeah.
Or you were walking around with your träskor, your wooden clogs, trying to kick the shit out of other people. Or perhaps driving an American car, or a Volvo if you could afford it. Or play punk rock. and in Rågsved there were quite a lot of punk bands. So I knew a girl there who played in the band called Snarklangarna, which sort of like, it sounded like the drug dealers, but knarklangare is drug dealer, but snarklanger is somebody who deals snores. I mean, you get so bored that you fall asleep. And I heard them play, and I understand why they call it snarklangarna, because they were not very good, and they were playing very slow, because, you know, they had to, when you have to change the accord, when you're changing the chords, they sort of like had to take a deep breath, clang, 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 dong, dong, dong.
Oh man.
So, yep, the snark thing was big with the band.
Did they ever release anything?
No, maybe, I mean, at least a few of the bands that are at Oasen, which is a various artists album from Oasen, which was the place where everybody played in Rågsved. I think one or two of the bands I used to see quite a lot. And one of the best Swedish bands at that period was a band called The Pain.
Okay.
The Pain, Warheads and Chatterbox, they were like really good, because they were the Pain had the energy of Pistols, but they also had the swagger of the New York Dolls, and sort of like, and a singer that was totally iggyed out. I mean, Norwegian band Trash Can Darlings, it's sort of like that stuff, but without the makeup. They were just like, you know, totally insane, and I guess that they were quite chemically enhanced.
That was the times.
That was the time. So those guys, they hadn't slept for ages.
All right.
So, short beer break.
Yes, of course, man. Da er den I gang igjen. Okay, here we go!
Here we go. Oi!
Skål!
Oi!
Skål! All right. Yes, I need to ask, did you do any touring with Herverk?
We had a few gigs outside of Oslo, but not touring as such. I mean, first of all, we weren't together enough to... We were hardly together enough to rehearse.
Yeah.
So how on earth could we... The reason we became so good at playing was because we were playing at this squat, one of the first squats in Oslo, called Tinkeren, where our bass player, or the guy who became our bass player, lived. He lived in the room upstairs for the rehearsal space. So after we had sort of lost our singer, and I became a singer / bass player, this guy shows up and says, "Listen, guys, I can't just sit and listen to you making all that noise. I need to play with you." Excellent. We need a bass player. Here.
Easier for me.
Yeah. So that's how it all went down.
Yeah, okay.
So we played Bergen and Kristiansand, both at some sort of festival thingies. The Kristiansand thing was really funny. It was close to the fortress in Kristiansand, and the band from Trondheim was called Belsen Boys, and they had this Pakistani guy as the bass player, and he was totally wired. He was so wired, and he was jumping up and down. And every time he jumped really high, or did something, the chord of his bass jumped out. So he's sort of like, the bass was lost in the mix for half of the gig, because he jumped up and it said boop, and then no bass. Hey, plug it in, man. Oh, alrighty. And then
just like Sid Vicious then.
Oh yeah, perfect. So that was a good gig. Then we had a really good luck of there's a guy from a band called The Aller Verste. His name is Sverre Knutsen. He's been a writer, and he's doing lots of other stuff. He decided to take Herverk under his wing. So we were supposed to play at the club, not at the outdoor festival, but at the club later. And this guy Sverre comes in and says, "I am the manager, and No, he said, "Hi guys, what's the deal with this place?" And we said, "Oh, we don't know. We're supposed to play here." Yeah, but what are you getting? Are you getting any money? Are you getting fed? Are you getting beers? Are you know? And we said, "Well, actually, we're not really sure." So he was going, "Leave it to me." And he said, "I'm the manager of this band. They need a sound check. They need a meal. They need 6 beers each. And how are we going to do with the door money?" And they were like going, "Oh." But he made it really sweet for us. So when he invited us to Bergen to play at the festival called Brennheksen, Burn the Witch.
Well, that's a nice name.
Yep, we were eager to go. That was the time when we released our first single. Or only single.
That was my next question. Did you ever release anything?
Yep, we released a single. 3 songs. Produkt av 70-åra, product of the 70s. Ingen visjoner. And a song called Loven slår, which was covered by a Fredrikstad thrash metal band called Equinox.
I know those guys, yeah.
Yep, so they covered covered one of our songs.
Awesome.
That was many years later. That was cool. So we had this brand new single in our luggage, jumping on a night train to Bergen, and this was just before Easter. So the train was full of people going up to their cottages.
Yeah.
I mean, in Norway, everybody goes up to the bloody cottages in Easter, to sit there.
Easter cabin.
Yeah, Easter cabin, drinking melted water. I mean, melted snow and horrible shit. Going on their skis, horrible planks.
I've never been like that.
No,
Never.
Me neither. I'm too. I think asphalt is underrated.
True.
so I'm there, but we're sitting on this train, and we got lots of beer because one of the guys were like, he bought 2 crates of beer and stuffed it in one of these rucksacks. So we had a rucksack that goes clong, 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 and we were sitting there drinking, and there's this guy in the same carriage as us, and he's looking at us and he's looking at the beer, and I can see that he's growing thirsty. So he comes up to us and he's going, "Hi there, guys. Would you like to sell me a beer or something?" And our bass player, who was a clever man in business-wise, he said, "Tell you what, if you buy a single, you can get a beer for free." So he bought like 6 singles from us. I wonder what this
Poor guy.
I wonder what this family said. But then again, maybe they're sitting on a fortune in that little slummy cottage far up in the mountains.
But is Harvard available now? Can you listen to it anywhere?
I'm not really sure. I think they're on. I think we're on some of these various artists compilations.
But are you on Spotify? You think?
Nope.
No.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe YouTube.
Maybe I'll try. If I find it, I can rip it for you. And
Please.
You can. I'll just have to check with the bass player because he is the businessman of the band.
Yeah, I would like to hear it personally.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't have to share it or anything. Just
Yeah.
check out what you've been doing, man.
Alrighty.
Yeah, cool.
I'll fix that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you guys basically got a manager then, from that guy.
Nah. Whenever we were in town at the same time, we had a manager.
Yeah.
Because he lived
Convenient.
He lived in Bergen.
Yeah.
At the moment, the aller verste were like, they were sort of strange new wave ska-ish thing. They actually got a Grammy for their first album. It's quite a nice album. It's called Materialtretthet. Material,
Tiredness, I don't know.
So like degeneration of material.
All right.
It's a nice album, but it's in Norwegian. So if you're one of those unfortunate people who don't have Norwegian as your first or second language, tough shit, man.
But they still listen to black metal, though.
Yep.
That's all Norwegian.
Yep, absolutely.
Remember, most of the ears you're talking to now are black metal fans, I suppose.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, then I have to push the next band I was in after Harwerk.
I have some questions about that too. Mm-hmm. But please go on, sir.
Nah, it's well, we sort of Harwerk sort of like just frizzled out.
Yeah. No, only one single with
only
those
one
3
single
tracks.
And 3 tracks, and we got a track on a collection called Shock Rock, which was a festival with sort of punkish band at Høvikodden, an art gallery museum outside of Oslo.
Yeah.
It's not our proudest moment. We hadn't rehearsed for about half a year when we were supposed to play this gig. And I think they took one of our strangest songs, which the only good thing about it is that it's been it's sort of like being name checked in a song by Kjøtt, another Norwegian punk-ish band. The song we played was I, so light, which is like, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dearie me, or something like that.
Yeah, good translation.
Yeah, so it's, well, as I said, it's not our proudest moments, but whatever. So yeah, and the band fizzled out. I was doing my shit, working in a record shop and more or less just listening to gradually more and more extreme music.
Are we still in the end of the 70s now?
No, we're about 81.
Okay.
81, 82.
So you kept it going for about 4 years-ish,
Yeah.
3.
Harwerk was from about 78 to 80, maybe 81.
Okay.
So it was sort of like a small lull between bands, and then I got together with some people called Siste Dagers Hellige, sort of like Latter-day Saints. The reason for the name was, first of all, it was in sync with the times at that time. It was, the goth thingy was going, so it was always, little bit of these religious posturing were about. And we also, on our way to our rehearsal space, we always passed this Church of the Latter-day Saints, the Scientologists. Hello, cat!
That's Hudson.
That's Hudson?
Yeah, that's Ida's cat.
Alrighty.
He is about 5 years old or something. You will meet him later.
Cool, nice.
But a question about the music-wise. I never understood that change between when punk went into the goth thing.
No.
What happened there? Because I know that Susie and the Banshees went goth and stuff like that. Can you just briefly explain me what happened there?
I think the aesthetics of the goth thing was there all the time. I mean, you had in the connection with the sex shop, you had one called Sue, Catwoman.
Yes,
and you have Susie Sue.
By the way, when you went there, did you see any of the people? The legendary ones?
I saw Jordan.
She was there?
Yeah, Jordan with the big hairy.
Yes.
Yeah, she was there. And she was, how do I say it? She wasn't unfriendly, but it was like, another one coming in here just to browse. So, but I was looking at stuff to actually buy, even though it took away some money for hamburgers and beer.
Yeah, totally worth it today, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, King's Road at that time was great fun. But I think that, punks, there were two kinds of punks. You had the posers, those who really enjoyed the clothes, and you had those who were really into, the music and being crusty. You had the goths and the crusts.
Okay.
Discharge. Discharge is more or less the advent of, Discharge and Motorhead, I think, are the grandfathers or the uncles of Venom, if you put it in a sort of, in that sort of perspective.
Yes.
Because crust punk was more, they weren't clothes based. They were like, okay, we got heavy boots, we got jeans, and they're fucked up because we can't afford anything else.
Yes.
And we have leather jackets with studs. That's the crust thingy. The people who were like going, with more flamboyant, they went into the new romantics, or like with Bauhaus, the more like, ooh-ha, we're the new Draculas. So I think that's where the goth thingy went in. I mean, Susie Sue was always trying to look like the German 30s the Weimar Republic. So that she would go into the clothes thing was quite obvious. Same as with the Cure and stuff like that.
Yes, but the Cure, when did they start off?
They were starting off in 79, 80.
Is it that early?
Yeah. I mean, their first song
That's like
is...
the fathers of goth, right?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, Susie and the Banshees, Bauhaus, Cure, I think that those three are important in the advent of goth. Definitely Bauhaus. I mean, their first single, Bela Lugosi is Dead, you can't get more goth than that.
Don't shoot me, I actually haven't heard it.
You need to hear it. It's like the American band Suicide. It's like when you first hear them, you will never unhear them again. It will be like, holy shit, what is this? I mean, Bela Lugosi is Dead, the 12-inch was just like early Susan and the Banshees. It's like, you understand that these people, they can't really play, but they got a tremendous feel for it.
Yeah.
So it's the atmosphere that really strikes you. Just like early black metal.
Yes,
it's the atmosphere that strikes you.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what got me. And a band called The Birthday Party, the first band of Nick Cave.
Yeah.
Very.
So you went goth.
No,
in a way.
No. I was never goth. I was just
intrigued.
I was intrigued, yes, but I was more. I was also into bands like Throbbing Gristle, Cabaret Voltaire, sort of the industrial things. So I was sort of like punk with an extremist leaning.
Yep.
Which is probably what primes you for example. It's like the more dark things. I mean, the next band, Siste Dagers Hellige, I've now seen that they put out our single on eBay and they call it Dark Wave.
Oh, really?
And I'm interested to see what Dark Wave is, because for me that was, we were just being very confrontational, but also a little bit more. We weren't saying we were bored. We were just saying.
Are you talking lyrically now?
Yeah, lyrically, yeah. And we were expanding our sound. It wasn't 3 chords anymore. It was like more 2.5 splintered chords, and perhaps some hectic drumming.
Okay.
So it was something else.
A bit noisy then.
Yeah, definitely noisy and very, very confrontational.
Okay.
Much more confrontational than punk, actually, because we played in Skien, on the west side of the fjord, on the wrong side of the fjord, as you would say, probably, because we're on the east side now. And we played with a band called Liljedug, which is a Norwegian band, which I also strongly recommend. They were also doing things differently at that time. So imagine the Cure with a dose of The Damned and perhaps some early proto metal in the mix. Yeah. That's how it was.
The Damned also went goth when I think about it.
Yep. They always had a singer that looked like a guy who was doing digging graves.
Yeah.
I mean, so
looks like an undertaker.
Yep, definitely. That was Dave Vanian.
Yeah.
Dave the Vampire. Yeah, he had the looks.
And I remember their artworks for the album covers looked kind of gothy too, with graveyards and stuff.
Not their first album. That's an album where they have obviously had a cream cake fight. So they got cream all over their faces and they got whipped cream all over them, and they look like just like a messed up bunch of miscreants.
I suppose that's a pure punk album too, so...
Definitely.
Yes.
I strongly recommend the song Neat, Neat, Neat. That's the most intense 2 minutes you'll have the pleasure of hearing when you're thinking 1976 punk.
Okay.
I mean, that's totally in your face, much more in your face than Ramones, much more in your face than Clash. Almost much more in your face than the Pistols. I think they were up there with the Pistols at the start.
Okay. I did not know.
So now you know. Well, Well, I'll just go back into the gig at Skien.
Please.
With the band called Lilledug.
Please.
We had our sound engineer was a guy who was into extremism, sound-wise.
Yes.
He was also the sound guy for Turbonegro later. But he had one thing. He always wanted to test any equipment he came to the capacity.
Oh yeah, what it could take.
What it could take,
Yeah.
and what are the limits, and how can we break the limits?
Yeah.
And man, did he break the limits at Skien. First of all, he had this horrible tape with some Lebanese music that he played, and it was not a good cassette, so it was, the sound quality was quite bad. So the treble was, really fucking up your ears. And then we arrived on stage. We had enjoyed a bottle of tequila, and we, in the middle of the second song, I could see, first of all, the people, they always looked like they were in shock when we played, because, we came out like a tornado, bam! So we came out there and, whoa, we're going to pulverize you people! And they stand there gaping, and suddenly I see the guitar players gaping too, and he's looking at me, and I'm going, what the fuck's wrong with you? And then I see my hands are all red. Yeah. And I see my guitar player, his guitar is splattered with blood, and oh shit, there's blood coming from my mouth. Oh, and some other places. So it seems like I accidentally got into some broken glass.
Oh man.
The third song never really materialized, so they just cut the electricity. Hooray! Once more, we did it, and got thrown off stage. And they tried to, patch you up as good as they could. Meanwhile, our drummer was busy making overtures with the promoter's wife, who had just given birth. So he was sort of tasting the mother's milk straight from the source, and our bass player, who was really angry that he didn't get to taste the mother's milk, started whipping people with a bass string, because he already fucked up his bass string, being so angry that we got thrown off stage. So, needless to say, we were thrown in the bus and, get out of here. So, and afterwards we heard they came in here and they made up like they were fucking Led Zeppelin and they ruined everything around them. And we said, oh, thank you. Can you have that in writing?
Good one.
So the other band, Lilledug, when they played, they were so disappointed that they never got pulled the plug on. And the singer, he undressed and he was running naked around on stage and going, look at me, I'm a bad guy. And they were going, oh yeah, whatever.
The shock factor was like 0.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, whatever. You didn't bleed the stage to death, so...
The most fascinating thing about that story is that you happened to get cut all over without noticing.
Well, there was some tequila involved.
A bottle worth of tequila?
Well, we were several people.
I would be crawling on stage.
Well, when the adrenaline gets flowing.
That's true.
But I remember my girlfriend, when they sort of dumped me on outside our room, they were she was going, you can't leave him with this guy, he's going to bleed to death. And they said, no, I don't think so. We came from Skien. He's still alive.
He's okay.
And he stopped bleeding now.
This was in 81 or something, was it?
I think 82.
82.
Yeah. So we had a few interesting gigs
in Norway mainly.
Yeah, mainly Norway.
Yeah.
Harald played once in Sweden. I remember it now. That was a total catastrophe. We were playing a punk festival, and they were. Swedes are not interested in Norwegians to begin with.
That's true.
And I think we played after one of the most unpopular bands at the scene at the moment. So there was nobody there. They went when the previous band went on. So they waited until after we were finished, and then another band came in.
Okay.
So we played for about 10 people, Perhaps
Where in Sweden?
in Stockholm, Götgatan, Musikverket.
Okay.
The thing I remember most about that was after the gig, we were like sitting outside in the backyard drinking, and we'd heard there was some commotion noise, and we saw a guy come running around the corner, and he's looking at us, and we're looking at him, and he's going, shh. We're going, why should we make a noise? And then we see he pulls this gun out of his pants and tucks it underneath some bricks, and he's running away, and he say, if you say anything about it, I'm going to shoot you. And we're thinking, no, you can't, because the gun is under there. But needless to say, we would never squeal on anybody. So
Yeah.
But
Oh man,
so that was the most interesting part of that gig.
that's a harsh environment.
Well, Stockholm at that time was really harsh, because then you had raggare, which is something you also know of here in Halden.
A lot of it.
But
Yeah.
the raggare in Stockholm, they were really aggressive.
My father was a ragger. He was supposed to be 66 or something now.
Yeah.
So he grew up.
Oof.
He has always driven American cars.
Yeah.
I grew up in the back seat of those.
What did he drive? What kind of car?
Mainly Ford. He had his most pressured one. No, not pressured. But,
Treasured?
treasured. Thank you. Was a Skyliner, which
Ooh.
has a steel top that you can take down.
Oh.
Automatically.
Yeah.
It was a nice one. He sold that years ago. But when he died, he was still building a 33 hot rod.
Ooh.
Like the ones on the CC top covers.
Yeah.
So we had to sell that one. It was almost finished, but we sold it.
Yeah.
His entire life, from he was like a teenager, it was only into American cars, and he was never a bully raggar, but he was into the cars.
No, it was a car raggare.
Yes, but never any shabby cars. They had to be original and nice and polished, and
So it's not like the Töcksfors Volvo.
No. But I suppose he would have some stories to tell, about the trips they had back then. But my father, just to put him to rest now, his music taste was basically Mr. Guy, His music taste was, I actually inherited that. That was Creedence Clearwater Revival, mainly.
Yep.
And I love that band to death.
Yeah. I mean, Creedence is good.
Yeah, oh yes.
Fortunate Son and Cosmos Factory.
Oh, a
Great
Ramble
album.
Tamble.
Oh, great album. Run Through the Jungle.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh, sorry, I need to have a piss.
Sure, man. All right, we digressed to my father, but please tell me about the raggars and that story. About they were rowdy back then.
Yep, I mean, in Stockholm and in Malmö, the raggare were they were dangerous.
Yeah,
you could get killed. I mean, if they got a hold on you, they could drag you after the car if they felt like it. And my first big encounter with raggare was at Gröna Lund in Stockholm. Must have been 1976 or 77. Bob Marley played Gröna Lund.
Wow.
And it must have been about 30,000 people. It was tons of people. And I hung out with some of my Swedish friends in a band called Sällskräck, which sort of like translates into claustrophobia. We got pretty close to the stage, and I mean...
So reggae, you saw Bob Marley?
Yep.
Okay.
And I've actually enjoyed reggae for some artists. They must be hard, of course, hard. But after the gig, we sort of like drifted towards the exit and towards the parking lot, and the bass player of Sällskräck comes running and says, guys, run like hell. And we're going, why should we do that? And then we hear like, punkjävlar, döda dem. That's like, fucking punks, kill them. And we're like, shit, why are they so angry? And we decided just to run. So we ran, and we got sort of like, we lost them. Punks losing raggare, that's a good one. But we ran off where the cars couldn't reach us. Yeah. And then it dawned on us that the bass player, while we were enjoying Bob Marley, he had a spike, and he was taking all the wheels of the raggare cars.
Oh.
So he sort of like gave about 4 or 5 cars a flat tire then before they came onto him. So, yep, needless to say, they were after blood.
They had an urge, a grudge.
They bore a grudge, definitely. So, no, I think Ragare was the most dangerous thing I was encountered in Sweden. In England, sometimes you had the skinheads and the Teds.
Yes, Teddy boys.
Yep. We that must have been 78, 79. The Warriors, nice little movie about a gang in New York who were out of their turf and have tried to get back home free. We watched the movie Warriors. It was some Swedish punks and me and a couple of my friends from Norway. And we came out of the cinema and we were like, ooh, we were 10 feet tall. Warriors, come out to play. And suddenly we see on the other side of the street, we're like 8 people and they're like 30 teddy boys.
Yeah.
And they sort of nonchalantly starting to drift towards our end of the street. So we nonchalantly drift around the corner before we nonchalantly do a big,
sprint.
Big runner. So that was, I wouldn't say it was a close shave, but first it was the teddy boys and then it was the skinheads, especially the Nazi skins. They were fucking horrible. They were like, they were like ants. They were like swarming everywhere, especially around 80, 81.
But I read Steve Johnson's book, and he talks about skinhead. He was a skinhead.
Yeah.
But a skinhead was even before the Nazi thing came around. Yeah. It was only a look.
No, the Nazis were just picking up on.
That's a later thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like oi punk. It's like, I mean, the band called Sham 69 was sort of like a community band, or like, and Cockney Rejects were like a football band. But the football and the punks, the football people and the punk people, especially the skinheads, they were like infiltrated with lots of Nazis who were going, oh, you don't want the blacks and the brown-skinned people to take your jobs, do they? And they were like, "Fuck, we don't want no jobs. We just want to hang out and drink beer. But if you say so, yeah. And by the way, it's cool to be like 30 people and scream Sieg Heil at the gig. We feel much bigger then. So yeah. So it's a stupid way of communicating.
It is retarded people. I'm sorry to say.
Yep. So that Kennedy said it. Nazi punks, fuck off.
Yep. What's that band called again? I had a friend in Holden who was into that stuff, and he had these big flags and posters and stuff. No. It was like a Screwdriver or something.
Screwdriver, oh yeah.
Yeah, those kinds.
Yeah.
That's one of the real ones.
Yeah, Ian Stewart, the singer. I mean, I got their first singles, but then they were just an anti-social punk band.
Yeah, they weren't that political.
No, they sort of went political overnight, and then suddenly nobody wanted their albums anymore. And I can understand that, because they became really crap when they started getting political.
Yeah.
Which probably means most bands that start to get overtly political, they get crap, because suddenly they're not able to talk about frustration. They're just about preaching. And preaching is the worst thing ever.
Well, that's true. Well said, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move along your journey now.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in a couple of 82 or something, beginning of the 80s.
83, 84, and I drift into sort of like more, how do you say, neo-psychedelia, a band called Spacelings. That was one of the guys that used to play in an early version of Herverk. He drafted me in to do some vocals on the song. And from that, a band sort of like came up with the guitar player from Siste Dagers Hellige. And well, we did an EP, a 12-inch, and an album, and a couple of tracks for some compilations. I think we were sort of trying to be, how do you say, somewhere between Jefferson Airplane, Patti Smith, and MC5.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes we were good, but sometimes we really stunk. I mean, I I was definitely out of my league, out of my depth when I tried to sing, because that band, you had to be a singer that could actually sing, and that's never been my force. My force is being shouty and forceful, not being arty and singing. So needless to say, we sort of like limped along and through some various changes in lineup and
mid-80s, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we sort of like drifted away. And then I became a parent. First, a little baby boy, born 85, and so suddenly there was a few years where I was more busy trying to make ends meet, trying to feed baby and wife. But then an offer came along from a nice little band of horrible boys called Turbonegro. They were like, they had a singer and he got drafted into the army, and they needed another one. And
who was that singer, by the way?
His name was Paul Erik Karlin. I don't think he has his rightful place in rock history, but he's mentioned now.
But did he record anything with them?
Yeah, he's on the first two. He's on the first two singles, a 7-inch and a 12-inch.
Okay.
And then they sort of needed another one, and they asked.
When is this? By the way?
This is 1990.
Okay.
So yeah, our son is like 5 years old, and I'm starting to get the itch. And my good friend, the drummer from Siste Dagers Hellige, he's going, "You've seen Turbonegro, right?" Yeah, I like them. They got plenty of attitude, bad attitude. I like them. So they said, "Yeah, they're needing a singer. Would you like to try, do a rehearsal?" I said, "Yeah, why not? I mean, can't hurt." So we rehearse at the studio where the infamous sound engineer, the man who destroyed people's ears in Skien, with Lebanese cassettes of dubious quality. He had a studio, and they were rehearsing there. First rehearsal, we made a song called "Kiss the Knife," and I think that was a nice lyric. They sounded good because they sounded something like a noisy thing between Hawkwind and the Pagans and perhaps Dead Kennedys and Slayer. I mean, it was some sort of ugly collision between basic punk and basic metal. There was even a touch of Venom in there. So I thought, nice, and they got plenty of bad attitude. So we decided to celebrate at a place called Elm Street. And as soon as we came in, there was a big fight. So I thought, hey, this is good. We're obviously bringing some dark cloud with us here. So I think, okay, I'll join this band. So I hung around for a couple of years until I suddenly became a father for the second time, and we were going to Germany. We were supposed to play a tour of 2 weeks, but we didn't know that the guy who organized the tour, he was at that time incarcerated in a mental asylum.
There you go.
So, but he ran away from the asylum so he could sign us to his record company and say, by the way, the tour, it's not a tour. And we're like, okay, so what can you do now? No, why just hang around? We can see if we can find some gigs. But I have to leave now. Sorry, man. So, all right. So we were in Hamburg for 2 weeks, starving, and when we were going,
was this like the first tour outside?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We done some sporadic gigs, some gigging, but that was the first tour, which actually was a non-tour. But we had got a grant. We got 60,000 kroner, for support the tour.
That's good.
That was good. So we played Aalborg, couple of gigs, perfect, excellent. And then Aarhus, we came to a place where they cut the electricity to the squat we were supposed to play. And so we sort of knew that things would go downhill when we came to this horrible place in Hamburg. So, but we managed to scrounge. But on the way back, I was like underslept. I was having a daughter 2 years old. and they were talking about going to the States. Yeah, hell yeah, we're going to say nothing. If the States are going to be like this, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
But then again, I've been doing some radio stuff since '87 with a friend of mine, and we also had a third guy there whose name was Hans Erik, later to be known as Hank.
Oh yeah.
So he was at the same radio station, and he was in a band called INRI, INRI.
Yeah.
Band busy going nowhere. They were just, sitting, polishing their leather jackets and talking about how big they were supposed to be.
Was that a punk band or was that a metal
sort
band?
of. They were sort of. I wouldn't say they were gothy, but they were sort of like sort of like arty rock.
Okay.
It was like
Dark?
no,
No?
sort of. I mean, I didn't rate them too highly, as you can probably hear. But
sure.
I mean, they had a really good singer, and Hank was the perfect guy. And I thought, hey, he's gonna go down like a house on flame with these guys.
So you introduced them?
Yeah. So I said, sorry guys, I'm not going to the States, but and I'm now going to be a good father for a few years.
Yeah.
See what happens. But anyhow, I got this guy who can sing. And I think you'd like him, and so yeah, that's how they got together.
So you worked together with Hank at a radio station?
Yes,
He
at
was
Radio
like-
Oracle, the female radio station.
What did he do there?
Same as me, talking shit on air.
Really?
Yep.
For pay?
No.
No, this was like hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, passion project.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always been a passion. I mean, I'm probably the least economic person you will ever meet. It's not that I give away money, but I have no sense of economics whatsoever.
No, but you're wearing clothes and you're
so
you got
mean-
here.
Yeah.
But hey, dude, we need to talk about the Turbonegro period because I have always been fascinated about those two. Was it 2 albums you were part of? I remember the first time hearing them, I got the same kind of vibe I got from hearing black metal. It was really dark and kind of a bit scary because it's topics and everything.
Super aggressive and super nihilistic.
Yeah, it's dark. And please tell me about that.
Well, we actually had, I wouldn't say a following in the black metal community, but we definitely had sympathizers. We played... I think it came with the stuff, as you said. There was very dark lyrics, and we sounded like a crossover between Dead Kennedys and Slayer, and with a touch of Venom thrown in. So it was like this punk metal thingy and very noisy. The thing was, to be as loud and obnoxious as humanly possible.
It kind of, when I was younger, I was obviously scared of Oslo. You hear all the stories and the parents warn you.
Even the pigeons carry knives in Oslo.
Yeah, so they do. So they say. But the thing, when I listened to those albums or those songs, it was like I got the scary parts of Oslo feeling.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
We were really hated. We were so hated in Oslo.
It was like the drug buildings kind of feel.
Oh yeah, it was definitely fueled by some sort of drug paranoia, a sense of foreboding, and we weren't just looking at darkness. We were like swimming in it.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get too.
And we were totally 100% confrontational.
Did you write the words?
Some of them, yeah, but some of them were also, band projects. We like threw stuff together, but
it was a collective, creative voice.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Some lyrics I did a lot of. We actually shared a rehearsal space with Mayhem.
You did?
Yep, at Christian Kroghs gate. That was when you know who played bass.
Oh yeah.
And it was it was Euronymous, Hellhammer, and you know who, the Bergen guy.
Yeah, you can name him here.
Oh, you can name him. Okay,
yeah,
Varg.
yeah. Yes.
Yes. So and they were. We thought they were wimps because, first of all, I mean, no offense, but I mean, both Euronymous and the drummer, they were tiny people, and
they're not tall.
No, and the bass player was like a scrawny guy.
Yeah.
So we look bigger and bulkier than them, and
you've been around for longer.
Yeah, we shared a rehearsal.
They
place.
were younger than you.
Yeah, but we shared a rehearsal space. So we were like, when we came early and they were going late, we could hear them, and they were playing with øreklokker.
Oh yeah, with hørselvern. Ear protectors.
Yeah, air protectors. So we thought they were really wimpy because because we just stuffed newspaper in our ears if it was too loud. So so we. But yeah, we were wallowing in the most negative aspects of life ever.
So you basically was more badass and more, call it, true than Mayhem.
I mean, at that time, the previous singer had not killed. I mean, we didn't have a singer who had killed himself. He was still alive. He was in the army. Actually.
Yeah, but that was him. It wasn't them.
No.
He did that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we definitely were just as badass because.
And you've been around the block
2 times, and always carried a knife in our back pocket. So yeah, so we didn't go with chainmail and all that stuff, but we definitely knew how to protect ourselves because we needed to.
Yeah. But as a punk band, you know, I'm a younger generation than you, obviously.
Yep.
I was into like NoFX and stuff like that too, you know, and I read their book. Have you read that?
Nope.
It's excellent.
Aye.
And it's you know, they talk about all the, you know, the, what did you call it? Not the scruffs, but the crusts and everything. Yep. And it's a hard existence, you know. You need to stay protected all the time, keep your back against the wall. It's never safe, you know, and there's all this gang mentality is going around. So I think the punks are in a bit more bad weather than the metal guys.
Well, at first, when the black metal community started getting together, they were like, people mistook them for crust punks because they were wearing black and they were having
studded jackets and stuff.
Studded jackets and stuff, and they got ammo belts.
Yeah.
So it was sort of they could be mistaken for punks, well, I mean, being a punk in '89 was something different than being a punk in '82.
Yeah.
And in '79, that was even worse than that because then you risked being stabbed, having a chain wrapped around your head. So yeah, it was a dangerous environment. But then again, that was the good part about being a part of Turbo. We were a gang and we were prepared to defend ourselves. Even though some of the guys didn't look like fighters, they could still scratch and kick and bite.
But back to the music then. I suppose you talked about what those 2 albums was inspired by. So the darkness in those albums was never kind of inflicted by the black metal thing then.
It was a parallel thing. It's just like
where did the darkness come from in your music?
Pure nihilism. I mean, like Germs, Poison ID.
So basically punk bands.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, I always loved bands like Dark Angel, Venom, Slayer. I still think they are some of the more important bands. And I mean, but they are also building on Maiden, which I saw in '79. When punk started dying in '79. All the posers went away. Then the new wave of British heavy metal started up, and we went to see quite a few gigs, me and some of the Swedish friends. So
did you see Maiden back then?
I saw Maiden at, I don't remember if it was the Roundhouse or the Rainbow, but I saw Maiden with Saxon, Samson, Angel Witch, and Witchfind.
Oh shit, man!
So that was before they made Running Free, the debut single.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So when I came back to Oslo, and I said, you need to check out this band called Iron Maiden. They are going to be huge. And I got the boss to order the Running Free single.
Yeah.
And I said, take 5, because I want one for myself. So yeah, I still got that somewhere. And at that time, we sold tickets for Kiss at Drammenshallen. That was 81. I think 81. And
maybe 80.
80, yeah.
I think
80,
so.
yeah.
It was the Unmasked tour.
Yep. So it was
Eric
Kiss
Carr.
and it was Maiden with Paul Di'Anio.
Yeah, they supported them. Yep. True.
And at that time, I was being so fucking poser as I was saying, we're going to see Maiden. And then we're going to leave because I never in my life want to see Kiss.
I knew you was an asshole.
But I stayed to see them, and yes, they were cool. And
Kiss is good.
Thank God it was Ace Frehley on guitar.
Yeah. Yes. The 80s was kind of a mess for those guys.
You could say that again.
Yeah, that was the first tour, I think, with the new drummer, with Eric Carr. Yeah.
Yep.
He passed away too, though.
Oh. Yeah, rest his soul.
He died on the same day as Freddie Mercury.
Ooh.
He was overshadowed some.
Well, I'd like to see the queue downstairs at that.
Yeah. Oh, man. But hey, Maiden, in the beginning,
yep,
they were fucking amazing.
Oh, yes.
I only seen footage, obviously, but the couple of first records.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, even Witchfind, I thought first, when I saw them, I thought they were hippy-dippy, but now I think they were quite good.
Yeah.
And Angel Witch,
Never
too.
got into them, but the Angel Witch I do like.
Yeah, they were good, too. And I remember that when I saw Samson,
yeah.
That was
it with Bruce?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes. So I had the pleasure of seeing both Maiden singers on the same evening.
But how big capacity was that venue?
Oh, it must have been 1,000.
Was that big?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
So maybe, sort of like Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Big.
Yes.
So,
I'm just trying to imagine being present when Maiden is in that era with the youthfulness with them,
and it was
energetic music.
Yep.
Oh shit!
And the guy who took us there, he was like going. He said like, the gig scene is dead now with punk bands. There's no good bands around. You won't get to see any good bands. But hey, there's some metal gig, and you're gonna love those bands. Those are really good.
Yeah.
And he was right, lo and behold. So, good thing was I already had like my Judas Priest gig in as mental luggage.
Yes,
so
that was the warm-up.
So, or sort of another building block.
But I need to ask you a question, because I just got some references now. You said Witchfind. Mm-hmm. Did you ever catch Witchfinder General?
Nope.
No, but you heard them,
right?
Yeah,
yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, they were...
That's a legendary kind of occult, kind of mysterious band.
And you had the band like Cloven Hoof.
Yes.
So it was also an interesting band in those days.
Yeah. But they kind of followed in the steps of Black Sabbath. They did 10 some years earlier, though.
Yeah.
They kind of copied the first Sabbath stuff.
Yep. And it's when we're first going on great metal gigs I've seen. I'm sorry, I'm jumping back and forth in time.
Please,
but
I'm enjoying this.
I think it was 89. I saw Slayer doing Rain in Blood. No, not the Rain in Blood, but the Seasons in
the Abyss.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And
Rockefeller.
Yep, and Candlemass was the warm up.
Oh yeah.
So when we're talking about Doom, that was I thought they were. First, I thought it was Sabbath, but I thought they were good afterwards. But I mean, nothing could prepare me for Slayer, because they were. I'd seen Motorhead several times before, but Slayer, they killed anything.
Yeah, they still did. Up till the very end.
Oh yeah.
I went to see them the last year even, and they blew my head off.
Yep.
Nobody's better than Slayer.
No, absolutely, and that was the thing. With Turbonegro was like the bass player Bengt and me. We were we were into like Dark Angel, Possessed, and all those bands. So we had, I think we had our.
So Maiden and Turbo guys were into those metal bands. Yeah. Okay.
And
Thomas too.
I think he was more like Poison ID, Dead Kennedys.
He's
Sonic
more
Youth.
a punk guy.
Yeah, more like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Bengt and me were definitely the metal guys, and Paul Pot, he was definitely also one of the metal guys.
But were you? I'm jumping around too. Sorry.
Yeah.
But were you ever into the Bathory and the Celtic Frost and stuff like that, or was that something you discovered later?
I heard some Celtic Frost, and I'd heard some Bathory, but it was like, I mean, I never rated the first album by Mayhem. I mean, Death Crush. I never thought that was any good. I thought they had no lead. There was no weight in it. It was
only aggressive, you know.
Yeah, it was very
pure aggressive.
It was top end. It was very lots of. I mean, there was no angry bottom. There was no basement. They lacked the basement, but they were like full overdrive, but they felt like a wasp on a window, you know.
Yep.
And that's what, for example, Slayer and Venom did to me, was like boom, boom.
Are
boom.
you talking soundscape now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I'm talking about
more
hits.
bottom end.
Yeah, I'm talking about hits to the stomach.
Yep.
So whereas early Mayhem never hit me that at the same. But then again, I never got to see them with Dead. If I had seen them with Dead, perhaps I would say something.
A live show would be something different.
Yeah. And I mean, I did hear them rehearse a lot of times because we were sharing the rehearsal.
Yeah.
But there was anything that sort of stopped me.
No.
So, well, I suppose that was the times we were in that. And we felt probably that we were the worst in the best possible way band around at that time, because we were truly hated by everybody. It was us and the band called Anal Babes, and in Bergen they had a band called Swamp Rats or Swamp Babies. I don't remember if it was Swamp Babies or Swamp Rats anymore, but those were like and a band called Munk in Kristiansand. Munk, yeah.
As in robed monk?
No, as in Edvard Munch.
Oh, okay.
Munch.
Yeah, the Munch, the artist.
Yeah.
The painter.
Yep. And those were also into the bottom end darkness. That's what I liked.
Okay, so there were more bands going simultaneously with basically the same sound, the dark kind of social mirroring.
Yeah, no, I think Turbo and Anal Babes were the most nihilistic and negative of all bands. I mean, we were. What did the guys in Motorpsycho said one time? They said like, I don't know, what if you meet them one by one, those guys in Turbo, they sort of like. They seem like nice guys, but when they come together, it's like a collective degeneration going on. So they're sort of like we're just degenerates of the worst kind when we get back together.
Love it.
So yeah, that's the way it was.
Yeah, cool.
So this, I'm trying to round this up now. The last gig I did with them was. I think it was the 1st of April or the last of March in '93. And we were playing at a place called Sentrum Scene in Oslo.
You played there, actually. That's a big venue.
Yeah, but we played, the last gig was in the foyer.
Oh, really?
So, and when the guy who was the stage manager there, when he saw us setting up, he recognized me from the time we had played the big scene downstairs. And he was going, "It's you again." With this really, really despair in his voice. Because last time we played there, there were some microphones that had sort of like, I don't know, they went bad in some way. I don't know. They sort of like just went bad. They didn't work anymore afterward. Yeah. So he was sort of like, "I'm never going to have you set foot on my stage ever again." And then when we came out, he was going, "Oh, him again." But good for him. It was my last gig with him, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
So
then it became a father for a while.
Then I became a father and kept on doing my radio shit.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I've been doing until we suddenly warmed up this old corpse called Turbonecro. And at the moment, half of us are sick, either in hospital or going to hospital or just out of hospital. So
more of you are sick. What's going on?
Yeah, it's a collective degeneration. I think we're actually we're sort of like magnets for the dark forces of nature and humanity and society.
You will withstand, sir.
Well, we will prevail, but. Yeah. We are a disease, so if you ever catch Turbonecro live, you will become part of the disease. And
it's a fucking excellent name, dude. Turbonecro, I love that name. I even have the shirt. I wear it all the time.
Ah, nice one.
I do. But please, who is he in that band? Is it all Turbonecro members?
Only old members. The guitar player Vegard, he started the band. He started the band with Pol Pot and Rune. That was before Thomas came in.
Okay, so he's not original then.
No, he managed to weasel his way in because Vegard's thing was Vegard said I want to be in a band for once where Thomas is not a member because he's getting into any band. So this is the band he's not being in. And yeah, you can see where that went. And the drummer Carlos Carrasco, he was like their second drummer. The first drummer quit after 3 gigs and a single. Yeah. So he's sort of like one of the original drummers. And there's me and Bengt. And Bengt quit just before Apocalypse Dudes. That's when he said, "Too much Ramones, too little Slayer."
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's sort of like his parting shot. I think he said it more eloquently, but that's the gist of it.
It is a lot of Ramones, for sure.
Yep, and Cheap Trick and Alice Cooper.
But we love the Ramones.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing, but I think that with Bengt and me and Vegard and Carlos in Turbo, it would never have been any. There would be no Sailor. There would be no glam, and there would be no fun.
Oh, well put, sir. God damn. But what happened with Turbonecro? You played a few shows, right? Not a lot.
No, and we're still trying to get ourselves together to rehearse a little bit again.
Yeah.
Because, as I said, we are traveling under the darkest of dark clouds. When we were supposed to go to Spain, this huge pandemic struck us 2 days before.
Yeah.
So Spain got shut down and we got shut down. And then we were supposed to play Germany. And, hold on a second, the drummer is in hospital. We got a guitar player who can't walk. And I was just about to have an operation myself. So it was... and the bass player, he just became a father for the second time. So.
Oh, yeah.
So we sort of... we had no possibility of being in the same place at the same time.
No,
because one of us was in a hospital corridor somewhere.
You old bastards.
Yeah, we're old and we're bastards, and we are going to keep hanging on by the fingertips until it's all over. I mean, we're at the Atomic Road at the moment.
Yes. Atomic Hills.
Yeah, in the Atomic Hills. And we'll be here for the blast. We'll be the final blast.
You and the cockroaches and not Lemmy, sorry.
No, sorry.
Keith Richards.
Yeah, probably Keith. Us and the cockroaches, we'll probably have a fight with huge mutant cockroaches over who gets to play the instruments.
I saw you guys front row once. That was at Helvete. That was an excellent time.
That was a good time. Yeah. Good fun.
Backstage too. I got to meet all your guys.
Yeah.
Nice people.
We played with Carpathian. We played with Carpathian Forest. They were also playing the bill. They're also good, unclean people.
That's true. They're the punks of black metal, I would say.
That's why we have sort of an affinity with Roger and Daniel. Yeah. There's a feeling of sympathy. Of course, not sympathetic sympathy, but more like, Okay, we're brothers in sickness and darkness. Thank you for being there.
Vrangsinn and nattefrost?
Yep.
Yes, there you go.
As bad as it can be.
Anything you want to catch up on now before you round it up?
Nah. Not really. Only thing I could say is, I never got the chance to see Dark Throne live. Few of us have, but they used, when I was working shifts, when I came home late at night, they always used to show these after the ordinary programs had shut down. They had something called bootleg TV.
Oh yeah,
and then you could see the old Dark Throne stuff, and they were fucking amazing.
That was the death metal Dark Throne.
Yeah, the death / black, because you had Zephyrus on guitar, and I think Teddy's playing the bass.
Yeah, it's the original band. It's Ivar, Dag, Ted, and Gylve.
Yep,
yeah.
It's a fantastic.
Soulside Journey Dark Throne.
Yep.
And Blaze of a Northern Sky too.
Yeah, and some Blaze stuff. It's fucking amazing. So yeah, play small Dark Throne, man.
Yeah, Ted called me once actually and said, "Hey, Mork, should just come. We should get together and rehearse some Dark Throne songs to play at this one place." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, man, let's do it." And then he was supposed to call me back, and then I think the promoter or the deal or something went south, and it never happened.
Aye.
And I was like, I've been pestering him for years now. We should do something, dude.
Yeah,
he was like, "No, I will never do anything."
But
he was so close.
But didn't he do something on one of your albums? 2
of my albums, actually.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, he sang a song on my second album and on my last.
Yep.
And I'm honored.
And
Ted is one of the real rocks within the genre.
Oh yeah, definitely. He is a how do you say? He is a rock. He's one of the pillars.
He's steady.
Yep,
as
absolutely.
Gylve Fenrir says, Teddy is steady.
Teddy is steady.
Steady.
Teddy. We like that. I think I'll quit on that note. Thank you.
Thanks, Harald.
Thank you, Thomas. And remember, listen to some steady Teddy.
Good shit. For information regarding Mork concert bookings, merchandising, and other matters, please visit official webpage www.morkisebakke.no. You can find the link in the description of this podcast episode. Thanks.